Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, my synthwaving friends. Alonzo here from synthwavedojo.com, and as always, today it's a great day for synthwave. I'm very excited today, actually as I'm always are, because as I'm always am, for Synthwave Dojo TV, this is the first episode of a new show called Let's Make Synthwave. This is very exciting. In these shows, I'm going to be starting things off with a main stack or an 8-bar loop, and then turn it into a 40-bar arrangement within the time frame of 2 hours, give or take, 90 minutes, 120 minutes, and all or most of it done live here in front of you. And my intention is to really explain and talk while I go along the way and let you know what I'm doing and what I am doing and why, so you can hopefully learn how to do this yourself. Sometimes I will just freestyle making synthwave, like with no intention, or for that particular day, I'll just pick some random parameters and try to create something under the general synthwave umbrella. Other times, I'll go for the sound and style or inspiration of a particular artist or track. Today, I will be taking inspiration from the Swedish artist Lost Years and go for a similar sound to his track Pressure. It's not going to be a blow-by-blow remake of the track, but I'll pick apart the main elements and then use them to create something of my own in that general ballpark. Now, Lost Years, depending on how you categorize him, I think it's still synthwave, retrowave, with an Italo disco feel, which is very, very cool, like very appropriate for the dance floor and very, very retro. So that's what we will be recreating here today, or taking inspiration from. And I always try to answer any questions or comments that I see along the way, but I still have to manage time and keep going. Alrighty, and before we begin, remember that if you go to synthwavedojo.com/events, on that page you will find all our the calendar with our live streams, events, sessions that are open to the public. And on that website, you can sign up with your email to receive alerts every time we add an event to the calendar. And you can also add any events directly to your calendar of choice. Alrighty. And before we begin, I'm going to be sipping my coffee, at least for the first 10 or 15 minutes of the show. I'm currently working on putting together a Synthwave Basics online course that I plan on launching later this year, November, December maybe. If you'd like to know more about the course, visit the link in the description and this video and join the wait list to receive more information about it. I want to keep it very comprehensive, but very cost effective, because I want everyone to be able to complete their stage 1 of their synthwave journey, warrior's journey. And it's going to be a really awesome course for all of you who out there who are into self-study courses, self-paced online courses. Alrighty, so enough talk, and let's get into the DAW. Where am I? Where did I go? All right, here I am. So, Lost Years Pressure. Here are some of the notes that I've captured while listening to this track and thinking how to approach this. First of all, the tempo is it's at 108 BPM. I transposed the track, the original chords and the progression, all of that, to A minor, just so it's easier for us to only use white notes on the keyboard, no sharps or flats. I think it's easier for everyone to make these kinds of recreations that way. And this track, if I'm not mistaken, has 2 progressions and a section that I call a standby. Today, I'm just only going to use the standby section and one of the chord progressions. I'm not going to be remaking the whole thing. And what I call the standby is... Let me head over here and click on this piano. Okay, so the original track, I think it's in E flat minor, but I'm gonna transpose it, or I have already transposed it to A minor. So this is the tonic chord of our track. And what I call the standby section is during the intro and the outro and in other sections in between. Lost Years stays playing this chord like this for 8 bars or so. So it feels like we're on a standby because we're not moving anywhere. We're not actually playing a progression. And I think this is a very valid strategy to use in this track and in your tracks. Like you create a chord progression, but also a standby section where you feel like stuff is just like stuck in time, waiting for something to happen. So it gives that kind of intention and that kind of feel. It's very useful. So the standby section, we're gonna stay on A minor. Cool. Then the progression, as the main progression that I'm going to recreate as Lost Years had in his track, transposed to A minor would be G major, A minor, D major, and then E minor. One thing that I want to point out is that in A minor, there's no D major chord. It's a D minor chord. So we can debate about the right way to approach this or call this from a music theory standpoint, but for now, let's just say that the key is in A minor, and this D major chord is a borrowed chord from the parallel key. In any case, so this D major chord has an F sharp. It's made of D, F sharp, and A, and it's the only sharp note that we're gonna use anywhere, and only while playing this chord. Cool. And our version of this progression, I just switched it around a little bit. It's going to be A minor, G major. So I switched these two chords around, but I'm going to end with D major and E minor because I do like the feel of that ascending chord progression. Now, to me, the drums in this track sound like real drums, not your typical Lin or 707. And that's important to get the character of this track. We need real sounding drums. And the kick is playing a 4 on the floor pattern, like a kick hit on every downbeat or on every fourth or quarter note. The snare is a typical 2 and 4 that you hear on rock and roll and disco and pop. And to me, it has a very strong gated room reverb effect, but this is particular and it's in mono, so it's not stereo. And to me, the drums, they sound like they don't have a lot of high end. They have a lot of bottom end. They're very punchy and powerful, but they don't have a lot of high end. We'll see if we can keep that in mind. The hi-hat is playing offbeats or offbeats eighth notes. Then we have a kind of fat line bass kind of patch playing octaves in a rhythmic pattern. And we have a side chain compression or volume shaping on every downbeat or quarter note. There are punchy tom fills very frequently. Like to me, once I analyze this track, it's like every 4 bars, he has some kind of fill either with the claps or with the toms, which to me is out of the ordinary. Typically, you have a drum fill or something every 8 bars. To me, it sounded a little bit of excessive at times, like always a fill like every 4 beats, every 4 bars, but that's fine. And like I said, he alternates the drum fills with clap fills. And we have a clap pattern that mostly is, like I said, like a fill, and it has a delay and reverb to give it some width, to give it some space, and to give it some ear candy properties. Some of the main elements from a harmonic and melodic perspective are chords that are playing suspensions. So for example, we have this A minor chord. Let me see if I can, bring up the piano. This is tiny. Resize 70%. Cole is asking, is the excessive use of the fills and the claps to keep the energy up? Yeah, I think that's why he does it. He does it like he has an attention reboot or ear candy like every so often or very often to keep us interested and to keep us going. Like something is always happening, right? There's no like big sections of time where things are just like static. Something's always being thrown at you, and it's a great way to keep our attention. So I was saying the main chord progression, or what he's doing, here's a typical A minor in root position consisting of A, C, and E. And go and watch my live streams or videos about sus chords or suspended chords in synthwave, because I show you the theory of how to make these suspended chords. But in any case, we have an A minor chord, or any triad, if you will, and this is my middle finger, okay? Right to the left, I have another tone from the key, and to the right, I have another tone that also belongs to the key. If I lift my finger, so instead of playing this, the third of the chord, I now play this tone. That's a suspended second chord. And if instead of playing the third, I play the note directly to the right, that still belongs to the key, right? So not this one, this black note, because it doesn't belong to the key, this one. That's a suspended fourth chord. So playing suspensions, both the suspended second and fourth, is a great way to build more harmonic rhythm into a part and also give it melodic interest. So instead of just playing a regular chord rhythm like this, which there's nothing wrong with it, but it gets old or boring after a while, you can alternate between the suspended second, suspended fourth, and come back to the original chord just by lifting your fingers, and you can give it a lot of color and movement. So for example, instead of doing this, I do this. It's a different thing. It has a lot of movement and interest, way more exciting again than just doing this. Okay, and every time we go from either of these suspended chords from the second or the fourth, when I go back to the original triad, that's called an internal resolution, because I'm resolving the tension created by the suspended chord internally by going back to the original triad. So that's an internal resolution. This as well. So he plays with that along with the chords in the chord progression. All right, then we have like a thin square lead line, at least to my ears, playing a very hooky part and very rhythmic as well. So it's not a proper melody, but it gives us melodic interest, what I call a melodic element, but it is focused on rhythm and being very hooky, like the hook of the track. Then on another section, we have like an FM bell playing some kind of melodic part similar to this one, but just a little bit different. And of course, the bell patch from an FM synth is very different, so it serves as ear candy and to change kind of the mood and the feel. Then there's also like a big sawtooth kind of thing, kind of like a solo or an improvisation. We'll also tackle that. It's very short. And also something very interesting is that there's like a reverse crash ending on the fore end of every bar. Like on every bar, he has this reverse crash. To me also, that's very interesting. And finally, I couldn't hear crashes anywhere. Maybe there's like a high-end sound, like a little bit of noise here and there, but on the downbeat, I couldn't hear a crash anywhere on this track, which also to me is surprising, because crashes are like a great way to create energy, and after every drum fill, we typically create a crash. So there's nothing wrong with creating crashes. Just last year's, he went with the approach of, I'm not going to use any crash, and used other stuff to make it sound good and to give us ear candy and accents. All right, so that's our overall approach, and I'm gonna keep coming back to this as I create the piece. Alrighty. The first thing that I want to tackle is the drums. And I've already programmed in the part just to save us a little bit of time. Like I mentioned, it's a kick doing 4 on the floor, meaning on every downbeat, and a snare coming down on the 2 and 4, a typical backbeat. And we have a hi-hats playing on the offbeat 8th notes. This is how it sounds. Okay, and the drums that I'm using are included in the Synthwave Dojo 80s Drum Machines free sample pack. And these are in the Roland R8 folder. Like I mentioned, to me, these drums from the original track don't sound like classic drum machine sounds like the Lin or the Korg or the EMU Drumulator or the Roland 707. They sound like something different, and to me, the Roland R8 just fit the bill very well. This is how the sounds, how each of the samples sound individually. This sounds like a double-headed kick drum. This is the snare that I liked. Has a little bit of a high in there and some punch and weight. The hi-hat, again, sounds real. Open hi-hat. I'm not sure if we're going to use it. That's the clap. Crash is not used. That's our tom 1, very dry, tom 2, and tom 3. The toms that Lost Years used on this track have a lot of definition. They don't sound to me like Simmons drums. Sound real drums like these. And the shaker, I don't think we're going to use it, but in any case, same thing with the cowbell. So that's our pattern. Let's get to work. Like I mentioned, to me, the kick and the snare are very punchy and have like this gated reverb in mono. So what I'm gonna do is take my kick and the snare and I'm gonna route them both, the output, to a bus or a group, depending on how it's called in your DAW. And this bus or sub-bus or subgroup, it's called kick and snare. So here we are. And what I'm gonna do is instantiate Valhalla Vintage Reverb. I just looked at a preset that I liked called Medium Gate. And here, I don't remember if I changed it to room mode. In any case, it's 80s room mode. I'm filtering out or using the low cut because I don't want the low frequencies from the kick being reverberated. So I'm going to increase this to around 100 or so. Okay. Then I played with the decay, and to me, like around 600 milliseconds sounds good. And with the mix, that's dry. That may be too much. Around 30% sounded good to me. And remember, I'm applying the reverb directly on my bus channel. I'm not sending from here to a reverb track. If I had done that, then the reverb would have been at 100% wet and dry mix. Since I'm applying it directly on this group or bus track, I'm just using 30-something%. All right. And I also said that this sounds mono to me. Now, because this plugin doesn't have a width control, I gotta find another way to make this mono, and depending on the plugins that you have, depending on your DAW, you may have like a mix tool or utility that, or a monoizer, whatever. In my case, what I did is I turned a feature called Dual Pan and with this I can control the width of the two sides of the stereo panorama. Just pull it in like this. Cool. Now it's mono. Stereo. Mono. And the other thing is that I hear the reverb being very compressed, like compressed to death. And it gives the sound a very punchy character. So we're going to do that with this purple audio plugin, which is an emulation of the Universal Audio 1776. So any 1776 emulation you have around, lying around, because if you're a synthwave producer like me, you have tons of plugins. I really never stop buying plugins. I just like how bombastic and powerful this plugin can make drums feel. All right, so I'm going to engage this thing, and I played with the settings, and I went for a nuke setting where all the buttons are in. It's a very famous thing on the 1776 or 1176, 1776, the date of the revolution in France, I think, 1176. There was this mode where you could punch in all the buttons for the ratio, and it would go like into nuclear mode and really like kill everything and explode. This is what I'm going for. Then I just played with the attack and release settings that I liked to get some very strong compression. For example, like this. I went with a very slow attack, or fast attack, and medium release. And this plugin in particular, I like it over some other 1176 or 76 emulations, just so I don't say it incorrectly from now on. There's a couple of cool things. One of them is that it has a mono maker, but I'm not going to use that. It has a stereo width, but I'm not going to use that. But it has a parallel mix. So I don't want my drums to have this full effect of the compression on. I'm going to pull it down a little bit. So here's with no compression. Appreciate how different it sounds. Of course, we're getting a little bit more of output here. But hear how all the reverb like comes directly at you. That's what this is doing, but I don't want it to be so explosive. So somewhere around 50%, I think it's gonna sound cool. Like this. So the drums before, kind of dull and lifeless. Now they have a lot of punch and explosiveness. Cool. Let's see how we're doing. Okay, we got the real drums with the kick on the snare, 2 and 4, get a room reverb, mono, not a lot of high end. I think that's cool how we have them. Hi-hat on the offbeats, right? Let me just make some notes here. Done. Done. Let's now address the fat line bass kind of patch, doing a rhythmic pattern. All right. For today, I'm using a fat line bass patch from the Synthwave Dojo free Vital sound bank that you can get for free at synthwavedojo.com/downloads. And from here, I just selected, I go to the Synthwave Dojo Core 2 sound bank, filter here by patch, style, or category, and select the fat line bass patch, which of course mimics the Korg Poly 6 fat line bass, which is the default standard for all your synthwave needs. And I start, I think, 99% of my tracks with a fat line bass, and I don't use it unless I'm going for something specific, right? But it's like 99% of the times it just works right out of the gate, or I tweak it a little bit. All right, so this is how it sounds. We'll tweak it if necessary. And we said that this is playing a rhythmic pattern, playing octaves. Let me bring this back. Playing octaves and a rhythmic pattern. All right. The thing that we were doing, A minor, A, G, D, E. Okay. Maybe we can get away with such a low A note because we're going to be playing octaves. Okay, in 16th notes, it's going to be something like this. It sounds... That's a typical disco pattern, which you do like a root, the octaves like this, then duplicate. And in this case, to me, it feels like he's doing something like this, maybe. Okay, so it has some rhythm, some stops and some starts. It's not a continuous 16th note pattern. And okay, that's that for A minor. Then we have G, the same thing, and adjust the notes if needed. Okay, G, G. D. And E. Okay, let me tweak this patch a little bit. Okay, I chose the sustain version, but let me go with the standard version. Sounds better. Play with the decay. To me, that sounds good here. Let me just see if these two bars would sound better if I sent them to a higher octave. I think these two bars, the last two bars, don't sound too good with these low notes. So what I'll do is send them to a higher octave. And for example, if you think that the progression where we have it, like this bass line, the notes are like still little, let's say on the high end of the bass, or in the octave range for you, what we could do is transpose all of this, all the progression down to where these notes are hitting the lowest notes that you like. For example, something like this. Or here, maybe. Or here, right? And I think that's what Lost Years did, and that's how he arrived at an E flat minor key. But in my case, I'm gonna leave this all at A minor just to make it easy on ourselves. But definitely, if you were to transpose it further down, your bass notes will have more power. Okay, and then the final piece of the puzzle is adding a sidechain or volume shaping plugin. In this case, I'm using Cable Guy's Shaper Box 3 or Volume Shaper. And there's plenty of free alternatives and paid alternatives like the Expert Records LFO tool. Cable Guys has Kickstart 2. I have that one as well, but I like this one too. And I can experiment with mixing in how much I like and with how long or short I like the sidechain. Here's very short. Now here's very long. And I could bring it in if I wanted to. But let's go back to this one. Okay. So that's our bass. Let's mix it in a little bit. The bass on this track is kind of on the loud side of things. I'll keep it there for now and tweak as we go along. So that's the fine fat line bass kind of patch. Then we have the tom fills I'll do later. The claps, let's do the claps now. Or you know what, let's leave this for later. Let's play the chords, playing the suspensions and the internal resolution. Okay, for the chords, I'm also using, well, an initialized preset. Vital, and it is a sawtooth based patch. So I have 2 oscillators going, with the second one just a little bit of detuning, some voices of unison, and I think this is the unison width or the unison detuning, don't remember, but it's not much. And this envelope is controlling both the filter and the amp. And you see here it has a very fast attack, like medium decay, full sustain, and very short release. So our progression or our pattern is gonna be something like this. If you look here at the notes at the bottom, we have A, G, D minor, E minor, and we're gonna play with these suspensions like this. Simple. All right, so let's take care of that. Okay. All right, let me just double check something. I did A, G, D, E. Cool. I think this may be too low an octave. Yeah, I think this sounds better. Yeah. Now, there's some differences here that I notice. And, okay, let's just do this. I'm gonna use this one. Like so. Just so they all sound the same. Okay. Duplicate to G. And like that. Awesome. All right, have it your way. Then E, actually D, we're doing, yeah. Right, and E, this we're doing differently. Okay. Sounds good to me. Let's give this thing some delay and reverb. To make things easier on myself, I have a synth verb effects or return channel, aux channel, depending on how it's called in your DAW. And here I'm going to fire up an instance of a Lexicon 24 emulation. It's actually Lexicon something 24, by Arturia, and I'm gonna go with a decay of 3 seconds. That's fine. The wet dry all the way up. I'm gonna leave it like this. So all the synths, I'm gonna send different amounts into this reverb. And I'm also gonna give this sound a little bit of delay. Any delay that you have that you like will work. I'm gonna go for a ping pong setting. Cut out some of the highs, or a lot of the highs, some of the lows. This is in a dotted 8th note setting. Yeah, I like it like this. Let's send a little bit to the synth verb. Without it, very much in our face. Now more depth. Great. So that element is done. Those are the chords. Next up, let's take care of the thin square line. Alrighty. Now, most likely, I'll have to take a quick 2-minute break sometime. I'll let you know when. In any case, we got the chords, the thin square lead line, like playing this hooky rhythmic thing. All right. So I have a patch that I created in Vital based on a thinned out square wave. All right. We'll tweak it as we go along. The original is something like... So let's try to do something rhythmic like that. I'm still not finding anything that I like, but we will find something eventually. Don't you worry. This is a little bit detuned for my taste. I think that's kind of making things harder. Yeah, it's the chorus. I'm gonna get rid of it for now. Mm-hmm. Let's do this. Let me first find a rhythm that I like, and then I'll give it pitches. All right. So this should be G. This should be D. And this should be E. Let's find some pitches that we like. This is E minor. Okay. This one I don't like too much. What if we... Okay. I think we can do something with this. It's got some nice repetition here. Nice theme that I like. That goes well with the rhythm of the track. Now, it sounds like a Nintendo game. I know. That's fine. Okay, let's see. I just fired up another wave here to combine, to mix the square with the saw. Okay, we're getting there. This is too high for me, this unison detune. Okay, I think we're good. Okay. Okay, because the sustain is at its maximum value, the decay doesn't do anything. It's as if it didn't exist, which is fine. I like how the part sounds. And let's send it to the synth reverb. And some delay. Maybe standard as opposed to ping pong. Cut a lot of the highs and a lot of the lows. And I'm gonna use a dotted 8th note too. Or let's try a dotted 16th. It's not working. I like dotted 8th. You experiment, you don't like it, you go back to where things were. Cool. I'm liking this. Maybe we could make this sound just a little bit more unique by adding maybe some flanging or phasing. Give it a little bit more character. Just a little bit of something. So it doesn't sound vanilla. Okay. Let me go back here to the chords and give it just a little bit of attack. Or soften the attack just a little bit. And the same as for the melody. Okay. I think we're in a good spot here. And again, I'm not going for a blow-by-blow recreation of last year's track. Just kind of go for that same vibe, and I'm putting some of my own stuff into this. All right, so we have the chords. We have that thin kind of lead line playing a melodic something hook. Now we have the FM bell and the big saw to tackle. All right, all right, all right. Making great progress here. All right, we got the, let's mute this hook and let's do the bells. For the bells, I'm using a Dext patch. Dext is a free DX7 emulation that you can find online. And the patch that I'm using is part of, I don't remember, I think you can also find online the original DX7 patches, and I think it's on ROM 4A bells, tubular bells. Yeah, here. Yeah, it's the ROM 4A. And what I'm gonna do, cheat a little, maybe. Now I'm gonna copy the hook melody, but then change it so it doesn't sound exactly the same. I don't like these bottom notes because they have like a lot of resonance and muddy up the track. And even these may be too low. So let me take this thing, send it to a higher octave like that. Same with these. I think I'm going to be lazy and just leave the notes in the rhythm as they are. Oh, you know what? Okay, I hear you. Let me change this up a little bit. Okay, let me get rid of this. And We're on G. This is D. Okay. Yeah, this is not D sharp, we're on E. And okay, I'm gonna leave it like this. Got enough change. Send this to the synth reverb. Some delay. Ping pong, dotted eighths. Cut a lot of the highs and lows. There may be some nasty resonances here. You gotta be careful with these bell kind of patches. They have a lot of resonance spots. And let me do some filtering here and cutting. Now I'm gonna leave it like that. Okay, so that's gonna be like our alternate melodic element. That's the FM bell thingy. Okay, then let's tackle the big saw. No crash is done. Don't have to do anything about that. Oh, and the short crash, reverse crash, it's already done. Let me just enable this reverse crash. So this reverse crash is simply, I took any crash sample that I liked, reversed it, and every DAW has a feature to reverse audio. Then you just reverse it and make sure that it ends with the 4 end of the pattern, like so. One, two, three, 4 end. Okay, it ends on the 4 end. That's the short reverse crash. Done, done, done. So we only have the big saw solo thingy. And for this, I'm using an initialized preset, Vital. And I think any sawtooth patch will work here. Just gonna give it a little bit of unison voices. Like so. So it sounds thicker. With very short release, sustain all the way so the decay doesn't do anything. All right. Let's try to do something just with a little bit more of movement than the other elements we've already created. So I want it to feel kind of like a solo a little bit, but not too much. Okay. Something like that. Something just like that, and repeat it. I don't think he creates a phrase that's 8 bars long. I don't remember. I'm just gonna do a simple 4-bar phrase and repeat it. Something like that, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna record whatever comes and we'll adjust from there. Sometimes little happy accidents happen, and we'll just go with the flow. Not too bad. Okay. And we're on G. This is a non-chord tone. That's okay, that's fine. Don't like this. Don't like that either. Like this, these are neighboring tones. If you watched my melody basics tutorial on non-chord tones. So here we are on D, chord tone. E is a non-chord tone, that's fine. Here we're anticipating, this is an anticipation to this E minor. This is the 3rd, and this is the tonic. I don't like this drop here. And maybe B, the 5th. Don't like that either. It's not musically incorrect, it's just that for whatever reason I'm not feeling it. That sounds weird. I'll tell you why some other time. Okay, so why don't we change this note instead? I think I like landing on E on the final bar. So let's turn this into... Yeah, I like it. Again, I'm not going for the bestest, most awesomest melody ever, because that would take me I don't know, like an hour or something, just thinking about and fiddling with the notes. I'm just going for something that works, that fits the general vibe, and that sounds good. Gotta keep making progress. And this last note I don't like, even though it's a chord tone, I don't like how it sounds. What about G? Yeah, I like it. It has some rhythmic interest. Okay, here, let's build some rhythm by placing this in between the beats and give this syncopation. Actually, I wanted this. Yeah, I like it. It works. Send it to reverb. And delay. Ping pong. Cut the highs, the lows. Yeah, I like it. Maybe we can make the sound more interesting with something like flanger phaser. Let's find something quick here. Yeah, I think that'll work. Okay, so that's that. Alrighty. Let's see what else we got. Got most of our main elements together. Okay, so let's create the claps and like a tom fill just to get us started. As for the claps, let's do bum 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 bum. Bum, bum, ba, bum, bum. Okay, where's my clap? I think it had some delay from some other thing. Okay, clap. All right. Bum, bum, ba, bum. Bum, bum, ba, bum, bum. Yeah. That'll work. Let's come back here to the console view. Don't remember if I have a room reverb or something for my drums. let's create that quickly. Gotta go with Valhalla, Vintage Verb, 80s color. Let's go with a room algorithm, 100%, but the decay not so long. Like 1 second. I think that'll sound good. 20 milliseconds pre-delay. I'm gonna low cut everything below 100 or so hertz, and I think that's gonna be a good start. Send this to the room verb. Nice. And let's add some delay. Now that's too loud. Okay, I'm using a ping pong setting, dotted eighth notes, low cut, high cut. I'm liking that. Cool. Not so loud though. Yeah, I like it like that. Okay, cool. That's that. Let's see what else we got. We got this solo done. We got the claps done. Now all we need is a tom fill, and we'll create a few of those for our arrangement. But for now, let's just get things started. Let's get this party started. Let me turn this into an 8-bar section. The famous 8-bar loop that we always use for... I'm seeing something here that I don't like. Oh, man. I made a mistake here, and... when I used this hook melody, I dragged it from here, and instead of copying it, I just dragged it over, so I got rid of my melody. That's the kind of thing that happens. So let's see how to tackle that. Oh man. Okay, so I think it's a great opportunity to practice some more. Oh man, what a bummer. I want the sound to be a little bit more plucky. Okay, I guess that's what we're gonna have to make do with today because of that mistake. And that's the kind of thing that happens when you're making music live. I'm not too convinced about this sound anymore, but that's fine. I'll figure it out along the way. yeah, the flanger was making it just a little bit out of tune. Yeah, I think that'll do for now. All right, back to where we were. The tom fill, cool. Let's do something here. Last bar. Something like that. 16th notes. Okay, that'll work. Now, something I want to do here is this one sounds louder. To make things easier, I'm going to group these three faders. In your DAW, you can create a group or some other route or method to create this. In my DAW, Presonus Studio One, what I'm going to do, I have the option of creating a group as well, but I'm going to do a VCA channel. So I can simply do this and move all the faders at the same time. Okay, and the toms are panned 62 to the left, dead center, 62 to the right. Okay, now they sound a little dry to me. What we can do is give them some reverb, but I could maybe use this long reverb, and I'm going to turn it into toms verb, and I'm going to send from all of my, all of my toms into the toms reverb. And here I'm going to fire up a reverb I like very much called 80 Spaces. And I'm going to look for a preset that's very 80s. So here in the drums category, we have a lot of them. For example, 80s toms, Phil Collins toms, Mr. Collins. And I'm liking this very much, but let's just do a couple of things here. Let me tune them up just a little bit so they cut through a little bit more. Yeah. And as icing on the cake, let me do this here. I'm going to do a little bit of a roll here. So I'm going to set my grid to 30-second notes, like so. But I'm going to pull down the velocity. Listen to how this sounds without bringing down the velocity on those first two hits. Okay, now with velocity down, it sounds more real. So that's when you make these kinds of rolls, make them lower velocity or softer than your main hits. Now that's too low. Oh, here's another thing I'm going to show you. I want to create a flam here. To create a flam, it's two notes that are very close together. What I'm going to do is disable snap to grid, create this note, bring it very close to this other one, and then I'm going to tune it by ear. It's too close. So with keyboard shortcuts, I'm going to move it ever so slightly to the left. I don't know if you noticed that. For example, I'm moving it to the right, closer, to the left, giving it a little bit of space. A little bit more. A little bit more, maybe. Okay, I think around here. Sounds like a cool flam to me. These are some embellishments and stuff you can do to your drums to make them sound better. Now I'm gonna enable snap to grid back. You see here, because I want everything on the grid after this. All right. Okay. I don't like, on its own, it sounded good, but because of the kick hit that we have here, let me disable snap to grid and bring it closer. Yeah, like it like that. Snap to grid back on. Cool. Let's listen to the whole thing. I think we're in a pretty good spot here. Yeah. Cool. So at this point, we're going to take a 2-minute break and then come back in 2 minutes. So just wait for me, guys. I'm going to be back 2 minutes. All right, guys, let's pick back up where we left off. And let me just check if there are any questions or comments here in the chat. Thank you very much, everyone, for being here. Let me see any pressing matters here that I need to attend to. Roberto, thank you very much for your support. Wolfden, Mick, Wolfden, Stargazer, hey. Alrighty. Do I own any outboard gear? No, I don't. I pretty much do everything in the box with a audio interface and a MIDI controller. I see Alex. Hey, Alex. Need to try a battery instead of using sample tracks? Yeah, definitely use some kind of drum plugin or drum computer. There are many out there, and I think that every DAW comes with something. Presonus Studio One just come with one. Cubase has drum beat or drum duct or whatever. I think FL Studio, same. Live has the drum rack. Logic, Dr. Drum or whatever rhythm. It's definitely easier to use a drum plugin than dropping the samples directly on your tracks. I find it, you can do like so much stuff, and maybe down the line you can change your kick sound in a snap without having to go back. And I just use battery because it has a couple of features that the Presonus Studio One drum plugin doesn't have, and I don't use them all the time. but I just like to have them there in case I need them. Cool. Alrighty, let's see. Yamaha SPX90. Yeah, those are cool. Yeah, Groove Agent on Cubase. Alrighty, cool. So for the next, I would say like 40 minutes or so, I want to turn what we created here into a 40-track arrangement, which is roughly 60, 90 seconds of music. Because I know a lot of people get stuck in the 8-bar loop land, or the 8-bar loop circle of hell, this purgatory that you don't know how to get out of. So I want to show you how to turn this into a longer track for practice. And it's a longer, it's still not a longer than 8 bars, but shorter than a full-length track. And I'm going to take a very, 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 very simple approach, which is, this is a 40-track, 40-bar arrangement that I call basic kata in the Synthwave Dojo lingo. This is like the stage 2 of your Synthwave Warrior's journey. Once you learn how to create a main stack or an 8-bar loop like this that sounds good, that sounds like you want it to, whether it's Synthwave or Retrowave with Italo Disco, whatever, once you're able to create an 8-bar loop that sounds good, then the next step is to turn this into a 40-bar arrangement, and after that 80-bar, and after you get good at creating 80-bar arrangements, you tackle full-length tracks. Do not go from 8-bar loop into full-length track if you've never done this before, because you're going to crash and burn, be very frustrated, and quit. So we got to take it step by step, like running a marathon. You don't go from couch potato to running 26 miles or 42 kilometers in a month. It takes 9, 12 months, or maybe in a year or year and a half, depending on your health and a lot of other factors. So in this case, I'm going to turn this into a simple 40-bar arrangement consisting of only 5 sections. We have an intro, 8 bars long, then what I call the verse or the groove, whatever, build up, 8 bars long, then the chorus or your drop or your main section, 8 bars long, a secondary section, 8 bars long, and an outro, 8 bars long. 5 sections times 4, that's 40 bars. So I'm going to keep things very simple and try to create a satisfying, cohesive, and nice listener's journey using only 40 bars. Again, you need to be able to create a solid 40-bar arrangement before you tackle on longer projects. And doing a 40-bar arrangement with all that I would like to do to it would take me possibly another 2 or 3 hours. So again, in the next 40 minutes, I'm going to do as much as I can to create this, to turn this into a nice 40-bar arrangement that still is going to have some stuff that I could tweak further and refine. But for now, a little bit beyond quick and dirty and below a full-length arrangement. All right, so let's do this. Simple stuff. Gonna take my drum groove and copy it through and through, like so. The bass, I want to have the bass on the main section, the chorus, and the secondary section. There's something weird here. Okay, this. Okay, 40 bars. I thought I was going crazy there for a second. So, this bass, I want to have it on the verse, chorus, and secondary sections, but I don't want to have it on the intro or outro. I'm going to create a standby section, and the chords, they're going to play throughout. The hook melody, it's going to play here during the verse. This lead is going to play during the chorus, and the bells are going to play during the secondary section. Okay, then our claps. Where do I want the claps? Let's say like at the end of every 4 bars. Like so. And I want to have a tom fill like at the end of every 8 bars at least. Okay, so let me copy this one over to here. Like at the end of every major section for sure. Like that. I'm just gonna leave that as a placeholder. Okay, and we'll take it from there in a bit. Alrighty. And the reverse crashes are going to be every 4 bars. Now let me see the best way to do this. Okay. Every 4 bars, so here. Here, 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 here. All right. Okay. So this is going to be our rough arrangement. Okay, here I want to have the bass playing. Okay, let me do this. I want the bass playing what I called a standby, which is just a tonic minor, like so. And actually, I'm just gonna get this started earlier here. And here there are, in the original, a few chords that they play, which I'm gonna borrow from my pattern, but since we are like on a standby, Like that, I think. That's our outro. Okay, first thing I'm gonna do, there's plenty of work ahead of us. For now, what I wanna do is come to the chorus section and just mix it a little bit. So I'm going to revisit all the balance decisions I've made up to this point. I'm gonna add a compressor. Whoops. Gonna put it after the EQ. This is an LA2A style of compression. Just to give it a little bit more body and stability. Okay, chords. Okay. I'm liking it here. Let me add some EQ before the delay. A high pass filter. There are some low notes when we go down to D and E that I don't like much. And I like to shave off a little bit of high end on everything. Just so we get rid of some of the digital fizziness. Like this. It's like digital noise. Cool. Let's mix in the melody. This one also needs a little bit of EQ. Mostly filtering out some of the high end. All the fizziness there. And if we wanted to give this thing a little bit more character, I could even try like a drive or distortion plugin here it sounds weak, kind of digital. Let's give it some more power. I don't know, just gonna go for whatever works. Keys. Okay. Now it's too loud, obviously. You're giving it more character and body with some saturation slash distortion. Okay, that works. As you increase the reverb send, the sound will get louder, so you have to adjust with your fader. I don't want it to necessarily be right up in my face. Just moving it to a point where it feels right. Yeah, I think that'll work. Let's do the verse. Maybe we can do the same thing with this one. Maybe something random, like this. Okay. I like it there. Okay, so roughly that section is done. Let's take a look then at the secondary or alternate section. The bells. I hear some resonances here and there. That's fine, I'll leave it like this. Sounds cool to me. All right. Okay, a couple more things that I want to do here. I want to create some drum fills. Let's see. Stargazer asking if I duck the track with the kick drum. Only the bass has the sidechain or the volume shaper, and nothing else. Okay, so drum fills, drum fills, drum fills. Let's do some drum fills. And thinking about it, I don't like the flam here anymore. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna do something sneaky here. I'm gonna start just with that hit. You know what? Screw it. I'm going to do a drum fill every 4 bars. 'Cause why not? Go back to 16th notes. And one, two, three. One, two, boom, 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 boom. Boom. Do we have time for that? Yeah, 16th notes. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. I may have to reuse some of these fills so I don't spend the next 20 minutes just creating drum fills, but in any case, it's good practice. Let's try to do something random, then tweak from there. Yeah, that sounds cool. What I'll do is reuse this tom fill here. If this were a real track, yeah, I would, first of all, not create so many drum fills, certainly not every 4 bars. Well, actually, and I would maybe create 5 or 6 to reuse them. Here, in the interest of time, I'm just gonna copy some of the in-between section fills and reuse them. Like so. Like that? Yeah, I think so. Okay. Okay, we're missing a couple of drum fills here, here, and here. And also, in the interest of time, yeah, let me copy this one. I'm gonna be lazy because I don't have enough time to create all of these fills. You'll excuse me for that, won't you? All right. Okay, let me listen. Shoot the toms. Have more verb. Let me erase the tuning just a little bit more. Okay. Gonna leave them like that. Something else I want to see is if overall the volume between the lead elements of the three sections, if they sound good together or if something sticks out. Don't want them to be at the same loudness necessarily, but I don't want them to stick out too much either. Like one of them is very loud and the other one's very quiet. For example, here the bells I think are just a little loud. Okay, let's play it again. And just for fun, let's do this. Let's also give a little bit of drive to the mix. Just a little bit. A little bit of tape. Some bus compression for that gluing effect. attack at 30 milliseconds, release as far as this one goes, which is 100 milliseconds, ratio 1.5, the lowest it goes. I'm gonna raise this so the kick and the bass don't affect the compression too much. And I'm gonna lower my threshold until I see, well, for this mix, maybe between 2 to 4 dB of gain reduction. Let's see. Actually, I wanted to pump. Alright, I'm gonna leave it like this. Gives the mix more body and a gluing effect. Okay, so that's that. Before we do a final playthrough, let me just see if there's anything else that I would like to fix or do. So let me do some spot checks here and there. Those chords have a little bit of a honkiness that it's kind of bothering me, but I'm not sure where it's coming from. Maybe from the chorus. I think it's one of these notes here. Yeah, here, this is a very honky frequency that's bothering me a lot. I'm gonna cut it a lot. That frequency is killing me. Okay, back to our scheduled program. Okay. Oh, you know what we could do here? Put this clap hit here and here too. Alright, and before we do one final playthrough without me talking, let me just see if there are any questions here in the chat. Take a sip of water and prepare for liftoff. Chozilla, the best thing he can remember is from listening to Lost Years. Always have a great call and response type patterns. Yeah, that's very Italo disco. Well, not necessarily only Italo disco, but yeah, that's a great way to create melodies, call and response patterns. How to use hi-hats versus shakers. I think it's a matter of taste. Me as a drummer, I think of shakers as a percussive accent or you add on top of your drum. So for me, it's very rare that I would go with kick, snare, and shaker instead of kick, snare, and hi-hat. So again, depending on what you're going for, you could exchange hi-hat for a shaker. Of course, depending on, like I said, depending on the track. And for me personally, I use the shakers on top of the hi-hat, not instead of like 99% of the times. And see, Atari James, bassline reminds me of Cyberpunk. Possibly, yeah. Great stream, Alonso. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, sure. It's been my pleasure. So I don't see any other questions or comments here. So as we're coming to the end of this massive session, yes, certainly, as you're saying there, Stargazer, you can create a rhythmic pattern like in 16th notes to give more energy to a certain section. But again, that's part of what makes up your style and your preference, right? There are people that don't use shakers at all, but that's a great way of using it, putting it on top of the hi-hats, like in a faster pattern. So if your hi-hats are playing 8th notes, you can create a 16th note pattern with a shaker. Or if your hi-hat is playing, let's say, 8th notes, you can play your shaker in the 2nd, 4th, 16th notes to fill in the gaps of the hi-hat pattern, or double up on the hi-hat pattern, or play twice speed the hi-hat pattern and create some patterns with accents. So pretty much the sky's the limit with the things that you can do. Alrighty, so with that said, let's play this thing one more time, or actually for the first time, without saying anything. Here it goes. All right, great stuff, my friends. And before we go, try to recreate what I've showed you here today. As I like to say, it's one thing to watch me and say, yeah, I know I can do all of that. Yeah, prove it to yourself and recreate this pattern for pattern, part for part, and figure out all the let's say the roadblocks that I had to overcome along the way, so you can get it in your fingers, in your ears, and in your eyes how this is supposed to sound. And again, this is my interpretation of last year's Pressure track, and I wasn't going for a blow-by-blow recreation. But with this analysis that I did, like I showed you at the beginning, for example here, all these notes that I took, I can now use this and create my own track with kind of in this same style, but not really going for last year's track, and put my own style and my unique twist into this. This is the great thing to do. Now, for this has been a great first episode of Let's Make Synthwave. I plan on doing this, I think, almost every week. Now, check the community tab of the channel, because I will be posting and asking you for ideas on tracks and artists that you would like me to show on these episodes of Let's Make Synthwave from here on out. And finally, if you'd like to join the waitlist for the Synthwave Basics online course, make sure to follow the link in the description of this video and sign up to receive further information about that. I hope you really found this useful, and let me know if you have any questions or comments. Alonso here from synthwavedojo.com. I've had a blast, and I hope you had too. See you in the next one, and keep synthwaving, my